Hello and welcome to Productivity for Solopreneurs, where each week I share an insight to getting things done. Today is live number 102, and today's topic is all about creating daily to-do lists and which ones might work for you. So I'm blanking on what the exact title was, and I forgot to put it in my notes. So creating a daily to-do list that works for you. It's basically what it is. So for those of you who don't know me, I promise the rest of this will go much smoother. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Evie Burke, and I help women entrepreneurs who want to take their productivity to a new level. They're overwhelmed and exhausted by everything they want to accomplish in their business, but they're not interested or able to work, 9 to 12 or more hour days. And they want to be fully present in everything that they do, whether it's business or personal, and they want to have some healthy boundaries. I help them create impactful solutions that focus on getting the high priority areas complete so they can grow their businesses with confidence and become the high achievers that they want to be. So again, welcome to Productivity for Solopreneurs. I am here live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time. So if you're watching the recording and you want to catch me live sometime, pop by on a Wednesday. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about different ways to organize your daily to-do list. So I compiled just a short list of 6 that I have seen that work to varying degrees. And I think one of the problems a lot of times with to-do lists is we're doing things because we don't know that there might be a better way that works for us, or we just haven't been taught what that way might be. So I'm just going to give you some other options. I encourage you to listen to them and to take and run with the method that seems like it will really work for you, or to take part of what sounds interesting to you or what would work for you and use that. So I do highly encourage people to use daily to-do lists of some sort because it really can help you stay on task. In my newsletter, I wrote about how the days that just go off the rails for me, where I just feel like I didn't get anything done and I get to the end of the day and I'm wondering, what did I accomplish today? I mean, I know I was busy, but what actually got done? Those are the days that I didn't create a to-do list for myself. When I create that to-do list for myself, I have a visual reminder of what I need to be or want to be working on right now and what still needs to be accomplished in the day. And that really helps me stay on task because I don't feel like, oh, well, I just have all of the time in the world, because I know I want to leave my office at X amount of time, at this time, whether it's for a meeting or just because that's when I want to have dinner or start getting dinner ready. I know I have things to do before then that I want to get done. And hey, if I can get done early, then maybe I get to do something else, that I've been looking forward to. So one way that I see some people doing their to-do list is scheduling things into their calendar. So scheduling a specific task or action into their calendar. And if you only have like a few minutes, like an hour, hour and a half or less a day to get something done, then scheduling it into your calendar can be really helpful because you're like, okay, this is my free block. This is what needs to get done. It's on your calendar as a reminder and you can get it done. I don't recommend this as a method for getting lots of things done. So if you have like a 3-hour block of time, I don't recommend that you break it up into 15-minute segments. It's like, this is what I'm going to do in this 15 minutes, and this is what I'm going to do in this half hour, and this is what I'm going to do in this half hour. Because the problem is, if anything runs over, all of a sudden you're already feeling behind because, oh, well, I was supposed to be done with this at 3 o'clock, and now it's 3:10 and I'm not done with it and I'm supposed to be moving on to this other thing. So I don't recommend you do that. When you have more time to work on things, when you have those smaller blocks, so it can be really, really helpful. When you only have, 90 minutes and you just really need to focus on this is what has to get done on that time. I will occasionally schedule in like my high priority things, like my super high priority things. Like if I'm working on planning my next week, it's high priority, so that will get scheduled in. It sometimes moves around a little bit, but generally that's Saturday after or Sunday afternoons. Um, but generally, if you have a lot to do, don't recommend it. Another thing that works for some people is just having a straight list, just having a list of this is everything that needs to get done today, and then just working through that list. And that can really work for some people. The rest of the methods that I'm going to talk about are variations of a straight list. It gives some organization to how that straight list is put together. So that brings me to way number 3, which is the Ivy Lee method. And Ivy Lee was a productivity consultant in the early 1900s. And I don't remember who he consulted for, some really big names. But the method that he suggested was, at the end of the day, write down your 6 most important tasks, the 6 most important things that needed to be completed the next day, or that need to be completed the next day, and just 6, no more. Write those all down. Order them by importance. This is the most important, so that's number 1. 2 is the second most important. 3 is the third most important, as you go along. And then the next day, when you get into your office or when you're sitting down to work, you start working on item 1. And when item 1 is done, you start working on item 2. And when item 2 is done, you start working on item 3, and so on through the list. And then at the end of the day, if you didn't get everything done, then those items automatically move over to the next day when you're again, creating your list of 6, right? So it's a straight list with a twist. And I have seen some people talk about this and say that this just works so well for them. So if this sounds like something that would work for you, by all means, go ahead and try it. So another to-do list, this would be number 4, that I have come across. It was actually introduced to me by one of the ladies in the Unnamed Productivity Club, and it's the 1-3-5 list. And what it is each day you have a list of 1 big task to accomplish. And then you have 3 like medium size. So, this is kind of the medium time wise things to accomplish. And then 5 little or easy or, quick tasks that you accomplish. And so it's the 1-3-5 method. You can find it online if you do a Google search for it. And for her, like, this has been a game changer, and it's really helped her stay on task, not schedule too many, big important things in one day. And all of those little things that are on your to-do list that sometimes get pushed off, she has time for them. Those are things that are on her list, and they get done then. So that can be a really helpful method. Another method, I don't know, this would be what, method number 6? I don't know, 5, this is 5. I don't know exactly where this one came from, but this is one I used for myself for a while. It's one that I introduced to a former member of my Unnamed Productivity Club, and it was a game changer for her. This one really helped her out. And I guess if the previous one is the 1-3-5 list, then this would be the 1-2-2 list. And what this is you have your 1 most important task. Like, this is the thing that if nothing else got done today, and this was the only thing that got done, like, you would feel like, okay, today was a good day. So you have your 1 most important task. You have 2 important tasks, and you only complete those after your most important task is done. And then you have 2 additional tasks, and those are only completed after the important task. So the difference between this method and the 1-3-5 is 135 is kind of the amount of time or effort it takes to complete something. So you have one thing that takes a lot of time or effort, 3 things that are medium time and effort, and 5 things that are small or easy time and effort. And with this method, the 122, it's not about how much effort it takes, it's about how important the task is. So the thing that might be, one task that might be an additional task today, if it doesn't get done, in 2 days, it might be the most important task. So that's the main difference between the two. Again, if it worked, try it out if it sounds interesting and see if it works for you. And then method number 6, which is the method that I use. And what I use is it's a straight list, but it's broken into AM and PM slots. So I look at how much time I have in the morning, before lunch, and not counting any meetings or client calls or anything like that. And I decide, okay, what are the tasks that I can finish in about 80% of that time. So if I have an hour, I might look at what can I finish in 45 minutes to 50 minutes. And I leave that wiggle room for things that take longer than I expect or for breaks that I take. So, I have a goal of getting up and, walking around, getting a glass of water or whatever, like every hour and a half, because, it's just not healthy to sit for hours and hours at a time. So I leave, some wiggle room for, that getting up, and also for things maybe taking a little longer than I expect, or like incidental things that pop up that I want to take care of. And then I do the same thing in the PM. So what is it, after lunch and before I leave my office for the day that I want to complete? And again, only filling about 80% of that time, maybe 85 or 90, depending on the day or the tasks. All right. And another hack here is going into time blocking a little bit, where sometimes, so method number 1 that I didn't recommend was about scheduling things into your calendar. And sometimes people get confused between the scheduling things into your calendar and the time blocking. So time blocking, and I know I'm a broken record, you've probably heard me say this before. Time blocking is where you say, these are blocks of time where I do like activities. So this is a block of time where I am doing marketing activities. And, this is a block of time, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours, where I'm doing follow-up or phone calls. And this is a block of time that I reserve for client calls or programs that I'm offering, right? And so sometimes what people will do, with whichever method that you're using, is they'll say, okay, so on Wednesday mornings, I have a 2-hour block of time where I am reserving that for marketing activities. And then if you're working from like 9 to noon, then I have an hour block of time to check in on social media and do social media or admin tasks maybe. And, that's perfectly fine if you want to do that, because then what you can do is on your to-do list, you can give yourself, okay, if I have a 2-hour block of time to do marketing activities, what can I finish that are marketing activities? It'll take me about an hour and a half that I can do in that block. And then what are the admin or the social media tasks that I can finish in about 45 minutes that I can do in the last part of that morning, right? And so that's kind of how I schedule my days with the time blocking. Again, figure out what works for you. So the mistake I see people doing, and I know I've made this mistake myself, is they see a method that works really well for somebody else, and they throw everything into replicating that method for themselves. And the problem is they don't have the habits or the systems in place to really make that method work for them. And creating those habits and methods from scratch they take a lot of time. So it's like with the getting things done method, right? You have David Allen's getting things done, where he has like, if you do like his classic methodology, there is so much that goes into it. But if you do it, it's really powerful. I am not disciplined enough to do his methodology to a T. So I take the pieces from that I know work for me, and I use that. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. The method, like the method that I use to track my time right now, or not track my time, but to schedule out my days and my weeks, it's what works for me right now. If I would have tried the same exact method and system 2 years ago, I would have failed. It would not have worked for me because I didn't have those systems and those habits in place to make it work. I needed to slowly, build on what worked for me to figure out, to get to where I am right now. So I had to slowly create those habits to recognize, okay, this is where something isn't really working really well. What can I do to help this go better for me? And then make a tweak to a habit, make a tweak to a system, and then see, okay, now it's working so much better for me. And through, I've been in business since 2011. So through the years, there's been a lot of tweaking. There's been a lot of things that just didn't work for me, or sometimes me sticking with things that worked really well for me 6 months ago, but don't work as well now based on how my business has changed or how I have evolved, and just needing to tweak the systems again. Um, it's a process. It's not a one size fits all type of thing. Okay, so that is all I have for today. So this has been live number 102, and we've been talking about daily to-do list methods that might work for you. So if you have a different system that you use, I would love for you to share that with everybody in the comments. And if you're going to take a piece of or a system that you heard here that you think will really work for you, I would love to know about that. Share that in the comments below too. And if you need help figuring out what tweaks or what systems will work for you, reach out and we can get something on the calendar, and I can help you with that, because there's not a one size fits all, and sometimes it's just really helpful to have somebody outside your business, outside your methods, looking at what's working for you and what's not, who can suggest like little tweaks you can make here and there that will have just a huge difference in your business and your results. So until next week, when I return for another live at on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Central. Until then, much love and have a great week. Bye, everybody.